What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Babo.
What's going on, everybody? This week we're going to be talking about chaos and dysfunction, how you can identify a dysfunctional relationship, some of the signs and some of the root causes of the dysfunction. But before we get into that, we like to start the podcast off with the segment that we call Terry's Top 3, where we basically talk about the most popular or most controversial posts from my Instagram page at Terry Duran. So we got a couple of interesting posts lined up today. Today, the first post that we're going to be talking about is a video that I put up, and it talks about men's sexual nature. Let's take a listen.
Biologically, sex is designed for one main purpose: procreation. The female reproductive cycle comes around once a month. For a man, it's every day. For each sexual act, the woman's one egg is matched by the man's 120 million sperm cells. And let's do some calculation. 120 million sperm cells a day, every day, as opposed to one egg a month, every month, means that it will take only 30 men to impregnate all the women in the world. This points to one clear fact: a man is, by nature, polygamous. Monogamy and fidelity are unnatural situations promulgated by religious beliefs and social pressures. It's a known fact that women, for the most part, are more emotional than men. But because a man is visual and logical in nature, for him, it's just a physical release that's got nothing to do with love. A man loves his woman by protecting and providing for her. Period.
All right, now she hit that out the park. A lot of the things she said reflects on a lot of the points that I try to make on my page, a lot of the insight that I try to explain to women. There's no malicious intent behind it. It doesn't mean all men are going to cheat, or it doesn't mean anything except what was said, that men by nature are not meant to be with just one person. Now, that doesn't mean that a man can't choose to do that or learn to do that, but what comes natural is being attracted to multiple women. That's why men don't have to be taught to like multiple women. Little boys don't have to be taught to like 2 or 3 girls in a classroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're naturally attracted to more than one. And so to hear somebody take that perspective and give some statistical insight on it, really, I mean, it's not telling us anything that we don't already know. You know what I mean? A lot of people are just in denial about how men really are, or they take it, they feel some type of way about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why that would make a woman feel some type of way. I mean, it is what it is. You can't change how men operate, but a man is capable of choosing to be monogamous for multiple reasons. Mainly because that's what he has to do in order to have a family unit. You know what I'm saying? In today's day and age, most men that want that and want to be in a committed relationship do so because of the family structure or their desire to give the woman they love what she wants.
But every man goes through that stage, or goes through that player stage, especially so the guys say college, 18 guy that goes off to college, that's when they really, trying to get on these women and get with, sleep with as many chicks as they possibly can.
Yeah, I mean,
hell, even people try to do it in high school.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people seem to think that
one woman, or even more than one woman, you look at it then in high school.
Yeah, I mean, but and those things, a lot of people make the argument that those are taught to guys to want to do those things, but I don't think that's the case.
It's not necessarily taught. I mean, every guy goes, once he gets to around that age, he wants to explore, wants to experiment with different women.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being a young child watching TV shows and seeing women that I wanted to fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, so nobody taught me that, or taught me that I had to feel that way.
Attractive when it attracts R&B singers or celebrities,
it was not a
people had crushes on those growing up and be like, hey,
not just
if I had the chance,
not just a she's cute. It's sexual thought and sexual desire behind it,
right?
And once you get to the age where you're actually fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, part of the reason guys choose to be single is because they have the freedom to do what they want with who they want. And for one, you don't know when you're gonna get some pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes time to establish, to put yourself in a position of the guys that I'm talking about now. That's when they're established. That's when they have the credentials, when they have the things that it takes to put themselves in the game like that. But starting out, your sex life is inconsistent. It goes from non-existent to inconsistent. And if you really own your shit, it becomes consistent. You know what I mean? Like, you have to progress to that level. But the point behind it is it takes effort for a man to be monogamous. You know, when I talk about those things, or talk about what a man has to do to be faithful for a long period of time or be in a long-term marriage, he has to consciously not put himself in positions that are likely to lead towards cheating.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so his desire to do that is dependent largely on how he feels about his relationship. A man that's happy, that feels like he's getting his needs met, is not pressed for pussy, is not feeling this strain in his sex life, is more likely to be able to pass up some opportunity for some head or some pussy without regretting it, without feeling like, man, I should have took that chance because I don't know when I'm gonna get some pussy again. You know what I mean? Like, that dude that don't know when he's gonna get some head, don't know when he's gonna have exciting sexual experience, he's a lot more likely to take that opportunity that presented itself and just accept the risks that come with it. You know what I mean? Like, so those things a lot of women ignore when we have discussions about monogamy and fidelity, cheating, etc. They just seem to believe that love is all it takes for a man to be faithful to a woman, and that is really not the case at all, especially considering men don't even connect sex and love. You know what I mean? Like, so there are a lot of blind spots.
There's not an emotional attachment when they have it. Necessary majority of the time. A lot of times, try to get for men, when men get mainly getting up and pretty much entertainment, a good time. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of times where a guy may, like you said, may be flirting or buying drinks or doing something with no intention of doing anything at all.
I mean, it's not to say if he's having sex with a woman and he doesn't feel no kind of way when he's having it, or he doesn't love someone. He just, she just does drink. I'm just fucking her. That's it.
Right. But, all right. Let's move on to the next post. This post got a lot of attention on my page. This was a post a guy sent me. It said that I've been in an on and off relationship with my girl for 4 years. During our last breakup, she got a dog, knowing I hate them. The dog sleeps in the bed, and during sex he barks, which has really killed the romance. What should I do? Now, to me, this indicates that this guy has made some bad decisions, right? Or a lack of communication at the very minimum at this situation. Because whenever you have somebody that's in an on and off relationship, y'all keep breaking up, getting back together, break up, get back together. That's part of tonight's discussion. That's a dysfunctional relationship. That's not how a healthy relationship functions, right? Why can't y'all work through problems? Why don't you have communication or effective communication to the point where y'all can resolve the issue without having to constantly break up? I don't really believe in the break up, get back together, take a break, get back together, because usually what happens is one party goes and fucks somebody else, right?
Right.
Because they're usually resisting the urge to do that because of the relationship. But in this particular case, she goes and gets a dog, which is perfectly fine. She's single. She can go get a pet if she wants to. The issue is when they decided to get back together, they did not effectively discuss the situation, right? I don't know. There could be multiple reasons why. You know, he could. We don't know what their last breakup was over, so that whatever fixed that situation or who caused that may not have been able to voice their opinion or whatever. There are a lot of different scenarios, but my perspective on this, right? Now, when it comes to pets, we know people can have drastic feelings about pets. Some people are really into pets, really pet heavy. Some people don't want anything to do with them. So if a woman's been with a man for years and she knows how he feels about having a dog, and while y'all broke up, you get a dog, and you decide that you are going to try to make it work with your man, common sense says that you're going to have to make some accommodations to make your dog that you know your man hates, to make the situation more comfortable, right? You can't just let the dog do everything that he's been doing with a dog lover with someone that hates dogs. That's common sense. And go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if she got the dog, right? I'm assuming she got the dog when she was single, whether it was just their breakup or not to get stepped up. So he got back with her knowing she had the dog, and I mean, and you know, she knows it, but I'm guessing she figured they weren't going to get back together or something.
Well, I mean, I understand that. That's all in the past. Now, I'm talking about once they get back together and how I own a dog. My daughter has a dog. My daughter has multiple pets. And so as a pet owner, what you do when you know somebody does not like your pet is you accommodate that person if you give a fuck about their feelings. If you care about that person.
And to at least make them somewhat comfortable in the situation.
We have a cat too, right? My mom is terrified of cats. When my mother comes to my house, guess who's locked up in the kennel and put in another room so he can't escape? The cat. We inconvenience the pet so that my mother can be comfortable, right? So, for this woman to know that her man hates dogs and to still have the dog sleep in the bed when your man is spending the night and to have your dog right there interrupting your romance, like that's extremely inconsiderate. And that's something that any average person is going to, that's an accommodation that the average pet owner is going to make for somebody that they love or that they're trying to have a healthy relationship with. Like, she can't get back with her man and have any plans of making this work or making the relationship progress towards something if you don't give a damn about even making him comfortable around your dog that you have made a part of the deal. Like, he accepted the package deal, but I think she's being very inconsiderate on how she's managing the situation. Now, is he kind of weak for not stating his mind? Like, what the fuck? Let's kick the, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could have been like, kick the dog out or had some nuts and spoke up. But he's not the dog owner. That's something that the dog owner should knowingly do. Like, you know how he feels about dogs, so you should do something to demonstrate that you're...
It just sounds like there is just a lack of communication between both of them there. They're not,
I mean,
and probably it's
I agree with that.
They're having this on-and-off relationship for the past 2 years that they had it for.
I mean, yeah, there's a lack of communication, but like I said, if anybody that's a reasonable person that knows somebody that hates dogs is coming to their house, is going to do something to accommodate them. Especially if they are spending the night and having sex with you. Like putting the dog in a kennel, putting the dog in the other room, getting the dog a dog area to sleep in. That's not a difficult thing to do. That's not an unreasonable ask. That's not something you should have to ask. If I know you don't like dogs and I know you coming over to spend the night and give me some pussy, I'm not about to have the dog in the bed and in the middle of our sex. That's common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand his dilemma. Like, he's in a dysfunctional relationship, so obviously communication is going to be hard to do. But to me, that demonstrates a lack. Somebody that will know you hate something and just have a zero fucks given type of attitude towards it. That's not somebody that I would be trying to build with long term. Because when we talk about how men demonstrate love for women, what do we talk about? We say they find ways to deal with things that they may not like or may not be happy with, right?
Right.
They use their resources and things at their disposal to make you more comfortable, to make your life easier. They don't just let you be like, man, fuck it, deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a loving gesture. That's not how people that are in healthy relationships behave. A person that's in a healthy relationship that knows that they have a pet that their partner is not fond of or does not like is going to go out of their way to make sure that their partner is comfortable with the pet. I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think that's even based off sex, because it could easily be the other way around. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's a sign that she's not really into him maybe the way that he's into her. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds, I get the impression it's a situation where he begged her back or some shit. But that's neither here or there. The comment was about the dog sleeping in the bed and barking and shit while they trying to fuck. Which, I mean, I don't see how she can't see that as a major problem herself.
That dog should, in that situation, that dog should definitely be in another room there.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Or wherever, or put, I don't know, if we have a sleep in the same bedroom, but maybe they should put it in another bedroom, the living room.
Lock you in the bathroom, somewhere where you can have some privacy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
All right, now, the next post that I wanted to talk about was a post that I put up. It said, 3 ways women create drama and conflict within their relationships. Using their hypothetical assumptions about how they think a man would react to something to justify their own problematic behavior. Now, this is something that we talk about all the time. I mean, or we experience all the time on my page, Jay. Women, I'll be trying to explain something to women that they shouldn't do or something that creates a problem in a relationship. And they'll hit you with the hypothetical. Well, if the shoe was on the other foot, in that situation, a man would do this, and that's why they're going to continue doing the problematic behavior. You know, we talk about it when we talk about a man glancing at an attractive woman. Well, if I was looking at a man's dick print all day, he would have a problem with it. Like they instantly jump to these hypothetical scenarios where they're...
Right, and those are more so assumptions than a fact there.
Yeah, and not only that, they always jump to how the insecure dude will react, how the lame dude will react. How,
and mind you, that's not the dudes that we were speaking for. We don't. They're excluded from this conversation here.
I mean, but that's what they do. You make up a hypothetical situation about the worst type of dude, and try to use that assumption to justify to continue doing the behavior that they already know is a problem. And that's relationship killing behavior. Whenever you are knowingly and willingly doing something that you know is creating a problem in your relationship, you're hurting your relationship. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to get past whatever you're mad about or whatever emotional state you're in to think logically and realize that me knowingly creating a problem in my relationship is not a good thing. Like, that sounds like a no-brainer. Like, it sounds like something that even an elementary child will be able to understand. But there are adults that don't function that way, which we'll talk about a little bit later with our topic of the night. Number 2, getting mad or hurt by a man's behavior simply because it's not how they would think or act in the same situation. It's not fair for a woman to judge male behavior based off of a female value system. Men are not women. Men are never going to think like women. And so when women punish men or treat men like they're doing something wrong for simply thinking and acting like men, even when there's no malicious intent, even when there's no deceit or they're not trying to get over you or do anything wrong, you can't punish somebody for just being themselves. And a lot of women do this simply because their man can't read their mind, and just because he doesn't do something the way that you would have done it, or he doesn't prioritize something the way that you would have, does not mean he's doing something wrong. And it seems like it's hard for a lot of women to understand that. Number 3, this is something that a lot of guys have to deal with. refusing to actually elaborate or explain the things that they have problems with, and will either say nothing or give a deliberately vague term like fine while intentionally displaying angry body language. That's the passive aggressive behavior that drives men crazy. Because we always talk about men are trying to figure out what the problem is. Let's solve the problem. Let's come up with a solution so that if this scenario presents itself in the future, we already know how to fix it or how to handle it. So when you are upset about something and you're refusing to discuss it, but you slamming doors and you slamming down cups and you moving chairs and doing stuff that indicate that you have a problem with something. You're going out of your way to demonstrate to have hostile, angry body language, but you're not mature enough to discuss the problem. That's never going.
That's definitely it's childish too. It's different, stupid and stomping your feet and choking.
That's a very quick way to get tuned out.
Rather petulant, I mean, I'd rather just say, explain what's wrong or what bothers you.
Yeah, I mean, because even a quality dude, he's only going to ask you a couple of times. He's not going to sit here for 30 minutes begging you to tell him what the problem is. What's wrong, babe? Nothing, I'm fine. You sure? You seem pissed off. You want to talk about it? What's the problem? I'm good. Well, fine. Be fucking mad then. Now I'm back. Now I'm back watching the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gave you an opportunity to tell me what the problem was.
Right, but I could think it's bad when you do that too.
You said what?
You think it's bad when you do sometimes. There's some women that do that when you do that too. I don't know what some will get bugged. If you really bug me, you would have still checked on me, even though I said that.
Yeah, that's
that happened that time.
That's the princess treatment. You know what I'm saying? Like if you gotta have somebody beg you and kiss your ass to be able to discuss a problem, you don't have the right mindset for a healthy relationship. All right.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? Ask 100 times?
Yeah, I mean that's a sign of dysfunction. But we'll get into that. That's one of the things I have on my notes for tonight's show. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the topic of the night. We're talking about chaos and dysfunction, how you can spot those things in a relationship. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast with Terry Duran. We'll be back momentarily. All right, everybody, welcome back. You are listening to the More Than Love podcast, and tonight we are talking about chaos and dysfunction. A lot of people are in dysfunctional relationships and don't even realize it. So tonight we're going to be going over some of the signs of a dysfunctional relationship and talk about some of the root causes or the ways that you can identify those problems. Dysfunctional relationships, man, they can be very hard for people to get out of because of the emotional roller coaster that they're on. And a lot of times the people involved are not thinking with normal people's logic and rationale. So things that you think a person should understand or should not be a big deal often end up leading to major dramatic arguments, or even worse, when you're with somebody that doesn't have effective communication skills, doesn't have the self-control or the self-awareness to be able to de-escalate a situation, right? So, and that's when you have one person that's dysfunctional or has issues. When you have two people that are matched up and they both have issues and there's liquor involved and drugs involved, you get some fireworks a lot of times with people that have these type of personalities. All right, so one of the first things that I want to talk about, or the characteristics of a dysfunctional relationship, you're constantly having arguments or drama over the same issue. Like, issues are never resolved. They're swept under the rug, or you argue until you're tired of arguing, or the subject gets changed, but the issues never get resolved. There are always these ongoing arguments that pickups at some point in the future, and you don't know what's going to trigger the continuation, right? So there's always these unending saga that you just pressing the pause button on. You start arguing, you argue for 2 hours, you stop, y'all fucking, it's all good, and you don't pick up until a week later. Now you're arguing about the same topic again. That's not a healthy relationship, because you're always going to be on the verge of breakup.
Because it's basically a temporary fix. It's just patching something up.
It's a Band-Aid or a distraction.
And when you patch things up, you can only patch things up for so long before the thing ends up busting completely.
Yeah, I mean, well, some of these people, they may have kids, they may have other reasons that they're staying in the relationship, right. So they continue to subject themselves to these things, and right. they can't understand why they're having these same problems over and over again. But it's because you're not really resolving the issue. You're deflecting from it. You're redirecting the energy or the attention. You're not resolving the issue to the point where
it's just like if you have a car, you catch a flat, and you put the donut on, and the purpose of the donut is just to get you to a tire shop.
Exactly.
Get your tire fixed. It's not I'm just gonna ride it, and I'm not gonna get the donut fixed. And I'll fix it in 2 weeks.
Then you just gonna be out of luck next time you have a flat.
Okay, so you got donut, you're gonna catch a flat.
All right, so the next thing that I had on the list, dysfunctional relationships, or you often see the blame game being played, where one or more people in the relationship constantly point the finger and assign blame to the other person. This is a very clear sign that the relationship lacks accountability. And that's a problem, because accountability is a vital part of any healthy relationship. You gave your word on what the expectations are of the relationship and what you agreed to do. And the person that you're with, has the right to hold you accountable for you agreeing to be in the relationship. If you don't have that, there's really no point in being in the relationship. If you don't have to follow any of the rules or live up to any of the expectations, then essentially it's a free-for-all where there's never going to be any structure. And without structure, you're not going to be able to have a healthy relationship in any context. You can't have a healthy business relationship without agreements, contracts, etc. Right? You can't have a healthy family relationship if everybody doesn't have defined roles and expectations of the family members. If the dad is gonna be irresponsible and not handle dad responsibilities, you're gonna have a chaotic, dysfunctional family, right? And so so it doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or professional. A key to having any healthy relationship is accountability. You have to be able to hold the person accountable for what they're doing and whether they're hurting or helping the relationship. Let's see. Number 3. The guilt trip. Now, this is the passive-aggressive version of the blame game, where the person makes you feel bad for everything and tries to use sympathy as a manipulation tactic, where they're trying to make you feel guilty about making more money than them or coming from a better family than them. Like, you have this. I can't explain why they choose to do it, but we see people like this where they use your feelings for them to guilt trip you into either feeling bad or doing more. You know what I mean? And it can be overwhelming. You know, a lot of women find themselves like, the women we talk about that are with these bums that they feed them nothing but hope. And a lot of times, though, when those women are trying to leave the deadbeat, he's like, see, you giving up on me like everybody else. And you know what I'm saying? Like, they guilt trip you into taking them back or feeling like you doing something wrong, even if you could be trying to do something that's in your best interest. So that's a sign of dysfunction. people can play on your emotions and guilt trip you into doing things.
Trying to shame you into doing stuff out of guilt.
Right. Number 4 on the list. They are filled with drama and tension. There's always, in a dysfunctional relationship, there's always this elephant in the room that something's about to pop off at any minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like you're walking on eggshells because you don't know what's going to set the other person off. And imagine how difficult that can be, you know, when we're talking about an abusive relationship, whether it's verbally, physical. A lot of these times you don't know what's going to set shit off. You made an apple pie and you thought we was going to eat dessert, and something triggers the person, and next thing you know, you in a fight or you in an argument. So it creates a sense of uneasiness or tension because of how volatile the relationship is. You don't know what's going to set the other person off or create change a normal, typical, everyday situation into a full World War III argument. And that's a tough situation for anybody to be in. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think that's not really a race where anybody should want to be in.
Well, I mean, this is kind of a symptom of something we always talk about: failing the dating phase. This is what you get when people get in committed relationships with people they're not compatible with long term. They was in the honeymoon phase and started fucking raw and got in a relationship.
That's trying to date you. It's almost like you're forcing a situation.
Well, it don't feel like that.
They're not necessarily compatible. And maybe it could be, the guy wants to get with her based on sexual gratification. Maybe, she got fat ass, big titties, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things that play into it. The physical attraction is part of it. The honeymoon phase is part of it. The idea of having a new situation is part of it. Like, all those things play a factor, but the people that don't effectively date and don't go through the dating phase the way that they should, the people that ignore red flags, or like Mr. Freeport was saying on the last episode, bleaching the red flags, like, those type of things happen. You know what I mean? And it causes people on the outside can look at y'all and tell y'all not compatible. They can tell y'all oil and water. But the people that are involved really usually have a hard time being that self-aware to be able to identify when they're in a volatile situation that's going to end up in smoke. Because relationships are generally wrapped in hope. We talk about all the time how a lot of women go into dating situations hoping it ends up in marriage and hoping they end up together forever and making all these type of long-term plans. Well, that prevents them from being objective with who they're actually dating. Realizing that, man, this dude don't demonstrate no responsibility, no consistency, no ambition. You know what I'm saying? Like just little stuff that you should be able to pick up on with somebody you interact with every single day, with somebody you fucking on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be able to
pick stuff that should be able to say, hey, okay, maybe this isn't the guy for me.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time. You know what I mean? And it's something that we see happen over and over again. And number 5 is kind of piggybacking on something that I elaborated on the last one. It's wrapped in uncertainty. And it said dysfunctional relationships are filled with uncertainty because of the volatile nature of the relationship and the consistent behaviors taking place. I mean, and the inconsistent behaviors taking place. So when you have those type of things going on where, we know women like stability. That's one of the reasons men that got their shit together are so appealing. They provide that stable lifestyle that most women want to be a part of. Nice crib, nice family that's taken care of, bills paid, luxury vehicles, nice clothes, vacations. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have all the structure that you can envision yourself being a part of, that you've been wanting to be a part of your whole life. And so when you get in these situations where you're dating and you're latching yourself to somebody that does not have what it takes to be a good husband or father long term, or does not have what it takes to be a good mother or wife long term, you're setting yourself up for one of these volatile relationship ending arguments or situations, because most situations don't just end with a pleasant, amicable breakup.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like where we disagree to walk away and we gonna be civil and it's just not working out. That's not usually how it goes.
You know, those types of situations, those dysfunctional relationships, for that matter, it usually doesn't end that way.
Yeah, I mean, well, most relationships don't end on a cool, just a civil breakup like that. Most divorces don't. That's why the courts have to be involved, and people are forced to do things. You're ordered to do this. You're ordered to do that. You know, I mean, like, so you can never go into a relationship predicting the breakup, but you can make sure that you're.
I mean, you don't ever get the relationship saying, well, we're gonna break up. I mean, you can't just say.
You shouldn't be thinking about that. Yeah, you shouldn't be thinking of that going into the relationship, but you can get to know somebody to the point where you know how they handle situations. You know how they handle fallouts with some people. Like you can be dating somebody and they get into it with one of their friends or somebody that they used to be friends with, and still be cordial to the person, still treat the person with respect. Or you can see them being childish and petty too. Like you can get a glimpse of what type of person you are dealing with if you actually pay attention and effectively date, which we talk about all the time is unfortunately not what most people do. Most people go into the dating phase and end up getting attached to something superficial, like you mentioned earlier, the sex, the big booty, the chick with, you know what I'm saying, like he got money, he took me on a fancy date, like they gas themselves up on all this.
Looks are eventually going to pay and so forth. So if that's all they bring to the table, you may want to try to reevaluate there.
Yeah, I mean, doing these things or getting in these type of relationships, it's always harder to get out than it was to get in. That's why prevention should be the key. You want to avoid getting in a relationship with somebody you're not compatible with, because it's going to be a lot more difficult to break
your
up.
Partner is potentially violent, they have everything violent, might not be the best idea. If your partner is, say, a degenerate gambler, and they're not going to be the most financially responsible person there.
True. I mean, the bad part about that though is with love, we tend to overlook things.
Look past those things.
Yeah, love makes you put up with stuff you won't deal with from people that you don't love. So that's the conundrum that we find ourselves in with us being emotional beings and not having the ability to predict the future. So hopefully, the people that tuned in can identify those signs, whether it's within a friend's relationship, whether it's something that you just weren't fully aware of in your relationship. Identifying the problem and recognizing what you're dealing with is the first step to get in a better situation. So hopefully we can reach some people that may be in dysfunctional relationships and they can find an exit route or find a way to identify what the core problem is and potentially work on it. So it looks like we're up against the clock, Jay, man. I appreciate you again for another quality episode. Those of you that are tuning in, make sure you tell your friends about it, share the videos, download the podcast, etc.
And don't forget to follow the More Than Love Podcast Instagram page.
Yeah, man, we trying to expand. We trying to reach out in as many avenues as possible. Thanks for tuning in.